The Trump administration will spend $19 billion on a relief program for farmers struggling during the novel coronavirus pandemic, including a new approach to send billions of dollars of agricultural products to food banks and other organizations around the country. According to a report by the National Sustainable Agriculture Coalition, local and regional farms could see a decline in sales from March to May of this year of nearly $689 million. Now, the scale of this shift is really extraordinary. In the best of times, food production in the U.S. is really tailored to big purchasers such as restaurants and wholesale distributors. But suddenly, food needs to be redirected from restaurants to homes and grocery stores. Tamm Canty is one of a growing number of farmers across the country thinking about where food comes from, how easily it can be disrupted, and how to reduce all this disruption. She joins us to talk about food, climate change, and farming during times of uncertainty. Tamm Canty, welcome to The Feminist Perspective.
Thank you so much for having me.
And so to begin, it's actually really very breathtaking to look at the numbers in terms of the sheer loss. As farmers scramble to stay profitable amid disruptions to the food industry, can we talk a little bit about how farmers continue to farm during times of uncertainty?
Yeah, I think from a logistical perspective, just for those that may have not read articles, there's a lot of talk about immigrants and having immigrants come in to do their seasonal farm work. That's a whole realm within itself. Then in my grounds, there's a realm of urban farming, which has been completely halted by the virus itself, where we can't all farm together, and there needs to be a new protocol created to have a no contact farming system formed. But aside from that, I think farming in these uncertain times really pushes to the narrative that it's never been certain. I think that was an illusion itself. Due to climate crisis, which started a long time ago, farming has always been uncertain. The weather patterns themselves have always been uncertain. And the market, the global market of agriculture anywhere has always been uncertain. So I think this time of uncertainty is a gift in the sense of it's giving us the reality of farming, which is it's completely uncertain, which I'm sure is true for many other different industries also.
Right. So I wonder then if this crisis is a wake-up call. Should people, meaning government and planners, rethink how land is used in cities? And by extension, can urban farming both improve food security and nutrition and also reduce climate change impacts?
Urban farming can absolutely 100% do all of those things. I really think it depends on how governors and mayors want to go through this process. I think them prioritizing healthcare right now is essential, but to put urban farms through all of the applications and certifications and permits to just utilize open spaces is what's going to slow us down. And what I know right now, just by my everyday frequenting, is farmers markets that I've been to are moving very slow because they're letting one person in at a time. I went to the supermarket yesterday, and there were a bunch of things that were, not there or getting ready to be restocked. So I think what I would call for is for all state and, city officials to really expedite the process so we can have direct access and be able to produce produce that's needed right now.
You certainly have a very powerful story to tell, a story on stewardship, resilience, and leadership. Yet the agricultural department's recent census report shows that only 36% of U.S. farmers are women, while 56% of all farms have at least one female decision maker. What do you think influences the perception of women in agriculture?
Well, I want to adjust that number I know is growing every day. And that's kind of the work I do digitally to inspire those women to get into their gardens or start their farms. But when it comes to the influence of women in agriculture, I think historically, just like if you look at anything pertaining to agriculture, historically it's never been the woman farmer, it's always been the farmer's wife. So women farmers have always existed. They've just always been known as the farmer's wife or the farmer's daughter. But I think right now, what we're pushing forth is that we are not an extension of a man, that we stand on our own.
Really? I read somewhere that New York's average annual net farm income is a little bit over $42,000 a year, slightly below the national average. So if it's not for the money, why do you think young people are still farming?
I can for sure tell you that I have made $60 a week as a farmer. So I definitely have never made 42. I wish that was the case.
Yeah.
I think for all of us young farmers, I think we know now, right now in this pandemic, but even before, we knew that food is the only thing that matters. I mean, everything else can disintegrate and it will be missed.
Yeah.
But food is the only thing that really matters. You could not have shelter, you could not have clothing, but if you still had food, you would still be nourished, you would still be able to continue, you would still be able to have hope. And I think on the other side, food has a spirituality to it. Growing food has a spirituality to it, to understand that if you just have one seed in your pocket and you plant that, and that can grow a plethora of food for so many people and then give you more seed, it's a sense of sovereignty. And if anything, if I'm to speak for millennials as a whole, I think that's something that we seek due to how much we've been through, before getting to the age of 30. I think we're all seeking sovereignty.
Well, on that note, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us at The Feminist Perspective. I appreciate your views, and I thank you for sharing them, and I thank you for your leadership during this time, and for giving us food to eat, for being the source that can nourish our bodies.
Thank you so much, Sophia. I'm so honored to be on your show.